Oh, is it too close?
Oh, you're good.
I was like, there's space over here. One of y'all want to come?
Oh.
The flag, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Thank you all so much for being here today as we celebrate Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta. My name is Adam Basildua. I represent District 7. And we also have here my colleagues, Chairman Narvaez, Councilmember Moreno, and Councilmember Willis today. I want to give a big special thank you to Councilmember Willis, who made the point to add Dolores Huerta to our initiative in bringing forward Cesar Chavez to be celebrated today. I also want to say a big thank you to the Mayor's Office for providing the proclamation for today, the Office of Culture Affairs, and the Office of Communications for making today happen as well. I thank the City Council and the Mayor for changing Cesar Chavez Day to March 31st from the traditional celebration on Labor Day so that we can give adequate celebration and acknowledgement for what they are. These are pioneers for the Latino community, not just for union and labor, but for civil rights across the country. It's important that we highlight the civil rights from all cultures, the civil rights leaders from all cultures, and these are two of the heroes that I think are extremely important, especially now when we have so many of our rights being threatened, compromised, that we have to continue the movement that has been fought from these pioneers that we celebrate here today. March 31st marks Cesar Chavez's 95th birthday, what would have been 95th birthday, and we have joined several cities from across the country to make a celebration of their contribution to our country. In a minute, we will hear from my colleagues, and then we will see a performance by Mr. Flores and his family. Following that, we will hear from Domingo Garcia, the president of LULAC. Evelio Flores is a tribal singer, dancer since 1997, and he currently leads Mitoti Yi Tzli, Yayo Yo Hotli, Heart of the Warrior, Aztec dance group, with his wife, Azucena, and their 4 children. They have been on the roster of the City of Dallas Office of Culture Affairs Community Arts Program since 2006. Evelio co-founded Kaupuyi Tonapi'i, the Temple of Precious Sun, Native American church in 2005 as a means of practicing and preserving the cultural traditions of the indigenous ancestors. Flores is a pipe career and sun dancer since 1999. He is also a member of the Advisory Council with the Indigenous Institute of the Americas and a cultural consultant with the Indigenous. Flores is a pipe career and sun dancer since 1999 and is also a member of the Advisory Council with Indigenous Institute of the Americas. With him here today are Carla Soria, Sarah Mendez, Victor Cruz, Mariana Duenes, Raquel Zamora, Irma Koyak, and Robert Alain. As soon as we have a few words from my colleagues, we will have a performance from Mr. Flores and his group. I will turn it over now to Councilmember Willis.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so proud to be here today and very excited to see this performance that's coming up But I wanted to give you a little bit of background on why Cesar Chavez Day also has Dolores Huerta as part of this day that the City of Dallas, the City Council voted on adding to this recognition. Now, Dolores Huerta has amazing achievements in the realm of fighting for workers' rights. And she has her own day, so she's been recognized. However, not enough people know about who she is. She coined "Si se puede." So that phrase that so many associate with this movement, that came from her first. And so I think for right now, it's appropriate to have her paired with Cesar Chavez, but I hope in the future enough people know who Dolores Huerta is and what she has done for workers in this country that her day will stand alone one day as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Willis, and thank you to Chairman Basil Dua for putting this day together. I greatly appreciate them. I can tell you when I got on the City Council, I'd already done a little bit about Cesar Chavez here in the city of Dallas. I was part of a big group called the Cesar Chavez Boulevard Task Force, which Domingo Garcia was one of our leaders during that time, and I believe it started about 15 years ago, and this morning on Facebook, those memories are fantastic because it brought back up that history that 12 years ago on February 10th, we finally were able to put the street signs up in honor of the famous civil rights icon Cesar Chavez. So that is why we have a Cesar Chavez Day here in Cesar Chavez Boulevard here in the city of Dallas. However, it wasn't easy. And the city at that time said absolutely not. It was actually supposed to be Old Industrial Boulevard, which became Riverfront, but the city had a different plan for that name, even though they allowed us to vote online and do all these other things, and the city decided that we were wrong when it was overwhelming that folks wanted Cesar Chavez to have a boulevard in the city of Dallas. So in civil rights fashion, by the term that was coined by Dolores Huerta, we said "Si se puede," and eventually we got that street here in the city of Dallas, which is exciting for our city because we were one of the only major cities left that had not named a street after Cesar Chavez. So with all of that, we got forward as we started noticing things. The history was, as Chairman Basil Dua mentioned, that we actually celebrated Cesar Chavez Day on the wrong day. And I kept questioning and asking, and thankfully when Mr. Basil Dua became chair of our Quality of Life Arts and Culture Commission, he took up the charge that, which I had explained to him, it was the lazy way for us to do it. In order to have a paid holiday, we just stuck it on Labor Day and said, oh, we got it done. Well, guess what? All of our communication at the city was all about Labor Day. Never once was it mentioned Cesar Chavez Day at the time. So we moved forward, and thankfully we got a unanimous vote, and thanks to my esteemed colleague here to the right of me, Gay Donnell Willis, she brought up that why don't we add Dolores Huerta to that day as well. And for me, it was absolutely, why wouldn't we? Thank you so much for bringing that up so that we can make that happen as well. For those of you who don't know, Dolores Huerta is still alive, and she's still fighting for civil rights, and she's still making things happen. We were in D.C. this past week, last week for National League of Cities, and she was there, still fighting, doing the good fight, working on behalf of civil rights. So this is a very monumental day. It's a special day because it's the first time ever in the state of Texas any city is celebrating Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta Day. Si se puede, everybody.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. Buenos días, gracias por estar aquí con nosotros esta mañana. Hoy es un día muy especial. Estamos celebrando el señor Cesar Chavez y la señorita Dolores Huerta. Y es un día muy feliz para la ciudad de Dallas y le quiero dar gracias a todos que hicieron ese día posible. Gracias.
And now for the performance from Evelio Flores and the Mito Tiyitzli Yaoyoyotli group.
Thank you to our performers. Un aplauso para los bailadores, our dancers. Let's give them another big round of applause, everybody. It's important that we also recognize that on this special occasion that we always recognize our ancestors and that the city of Dallas still sits on what was once indigenous land. And this is why it's important that we have performers of indigenous ancestry here with us today so that we never forget the people, the First Nations people, not just here in the United States, but across the entire Americas on this western side of our hemisphere. Thank you again to all of you. I'll now turn it over to Chairman Basil Dua to introduce our special guest.
Thank you, Chairman Narvaez. It is a privilege and an honor of mine today to introduce our speaker. Today is a day of celebration for Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta. It's a day to acknowledge pioneers of a movement and of a community, of a culture. And here at home, we have those heroes as well. And one of them is the Honorable Domingo Garcia. This is the first Latino mayor pro tem of our city. He served 2 terms on the Dallas City Council. He went to also serve in the Texas legislature as a Texas House of Representative. And he now serves as the national president of LULAC. And it is my honor and privilege to introduce to you all the Honorable Domingo Garcia.
Buenos dias, good morning. It's an honor to be here with y'all today. My first job, as I was watching y'all dance, by the way, was as a 4-year-old boy in the fields of West Texas picking cotton with my parents. There was no daycare. So my mom and my dad were farm workers, and they would take me, my brother, and my sister to go out there and have a little sack, and we would pick cotton and put it in our sack and go out there. And then there would be planes that would come over and drop pesticides on us, and we would run underneath the trucks to avoid the pesticides. And as I grew older, I always wondered why things were that way, why we were protected in terms of the jobs that we were doing, because we were basically picking the lettuce, tomatoes, and the crops that we'd see later in our grocery stores. And then in 1986, I got a chance I got a call if I could help Cesar Chavez at a picket at an Albertsons here in Dallas. So we went to the Albertsons on, I believe, on Skillman Avenue, and we were boycotting grapes because every time you drink a glass of wine, guess who picks those grapes? Un Latino campesino, usually out there working in the sun. And as we were working there, and you know, I met with Cesar, and he was here for about 3 or 4 days, and we picketed 3 or 4 stores. And I remember he was saying, "Si se puede." So le dije, "Cesar, why do you always say si se puede? Where did you come up with that?" He goes, "Domingo, do you ever notice when you hear the mariachis, all the songs están medias tristes? La vida no vale nada. No es de llegar primero, pero saber llegar. So we need to motivate and activate our community to do something. And they need to know that they can win. We can make a difference." And of course, Cesar proved that you could. And he was able to get and raise the wages of farm workers across California and Texas also. He was able to put toilets, porta-potales, at locations. And he raised the consciousness of a community where it was Martin Luther King's wife and Bobby Kennedy who went out there to support the cause of the farm workers. And as we celebrated his life, I was just in Los Angeles Saturday where I was with Andres Chavez, his grandson, who now leads the Chavez Foundation, continuing to fight for farm workers. And LULAC just filed a lawsuit 2 years ago to stop those pesticides from being sprayed over the farm workers because it caused birth defects. And we won that lawsuit in federal court, and LULAC, and it was in Washington State. And recently, last week, the Court of Appeals upheld that victory, and pesticides can no longer be used on the farm workers. So we're working with our farm workers and the UFW to make sure that we fight for the rights of all people in this country. And so when we talk about improving the rights of Latinos and Latinas who are the essential workers, where they're the ones in the meatpacking plants, the construction workers, or I'm going to bring it up, we've been building things for 2,000 years. I remember the first time I took the stairs en la pirámide de Titoacán, okay? En la pirámide del Sol. It was built 2,000 years ago. We've been building ever since. And I bet you Latino workers built this city hall and built most of the bridges and streets in this town, okay? And continue to do it. So, as we celebrate Cesar Chavez's life, I want to remind everybody that what he wanted was to respect the dignity of each individual, and for each individual, especially if their last name's in with EZ, Sanchez, Lopez, Hernandez, etc., that they have a chance to have the same lives as everybody else. And that we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and when we say with liberty and justice for all, we mean all. Hasta la victoria, que viva la raza, que viva Cesar Chavez, y que viva Dolores Huerta. Gracias.
Thank you so much to Honorable Domingo Garcia today. And now I will read the proclamation for today. Whereas Cesar Chavez was born on March 31st, 1927 in Yuma, Arizona, and would have been celebrating his 95th birthday today. And whereas Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta are two of the most influential labor activists in the United States who used nonviolent resistance tactics to fight for the rights of all farm workers. And whereas in 1962, Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta co-founded the National Farm Workers Association in Delano, California, where Mr. Chavez served as president and Ms. Huerta served as vice president. And whereas from 1966 to 1970, the NFWA and the Filipino Agricultural Workers Organizing Committee mobilized numerous strikes against employers, organized consumer boycotts and non-union products, and led marches to demand better pay and working conditions for farm workers. And whereas Dolores Huerta was instrumental in securing several laws to aid farm workers, she successfully lobbied for a federal law, aid to families with dependent children, to be extended to California farm workers in 1963. She also helped to influence the passing of the California Agricultural Labor Relations Act in 1975, which granted farm workers the right to organize for better pay and working conditions. And whereas a growing list of cities and state governments now recognize Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta Day on March 31st, and whereas on October 27, 2021, the Dallas City Council approved a resolution to recognize March 31st as Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta Day in the year 2022. Whereas the public is encouraged to celebrate the incredible legacy of both Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta as their tireless commitment to labor rights and civil rights continues to benefit us all. Now, therefore, I, Adam Bazaldua, on behalf of Eric Johnson, the mayor of the city of Dallas, do hereby proclaim March 31st, 2022 as Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta Day. Thank you all for coming. We have beverages and snacks in the back for you all to enjoy. Please take advantage of that, even if you just grab on your way back to your office.